You know, Japan has more than cartoons, right? If not, this video is for you. So let's rank someone who actually deserves it. Kurosawa, the old director whose most movies, with a few exceptions, I watched in the past few years. So no more filler. Don't wanna that this takes 10 hours again. Never let your good eye turn bad. A movie that probably is known more for its influence than for what it actually is. But in retrospect, it is an outlier, even the varied catalog of Kurosawa movies. It probably laid the tropes for all the following fighting and sports stories from Japan and elsewhere too. Yet on its own, I'll be honest, and give it an okay. The second lowest ranking, cause none of Kurosawa's movies are truly bad. Still, one could quibble with me saying, that's so low? But I don't remember it that well, so I think that shows it wasn't as memorable as I wanted it to be. Man, funny to think how Kurosawa's career could have been different, just making action-adventure sequels forever. Maybe the war did bring some good, but overplayed and stale dark humor aside. Funnily enough, I think it may be better than the first one, even if it's arguably a lot less artistic. I just love the scene of American imperialism literally getting punched out. Or more seriously, the whole evil brothers seem to both have inspired yet also been way ahead of all the following, you know, in other stories about evil brothers or something. Hey, they even got a redemption arc, and the snow fight had probably the first of the hand cut things. You know what I mean. It's good, just because of that fact though. The person who watched it with me described it as some Soviet propaganda movie from their childhood. And yeah, this joint is the most political and vulgar in a weird way. Yet I think it was good. The girl's journey and struggle might seem a bit sympathy-baiting, but it worked for me. And I remember being satisfied as I was watching it, even if I doubt it was enough to bring Stalin's son to Japan or anything. I can't lie. I may not really watch or care for romance, yet paradoxically, when it works, it really works. It is what it is. And in this case, the movie is a sweet yet sad story. Not only about two young lovers struggling in a devastated Japan, but the mediation on Japan's future in general. Even ending on a fourth wall break, wishing for the audience to cheer on and manifest in their own life this unlikely happiness for the couple and themselves. Also, the swing scene in front of the moon is just iconic, and a motif that gets repeated a few times in Kurosawa movies. This might be my first, nah, who am I kidding, controversial opinion. But I just found it okay. In a nutshell, not bad, but it just kinda ended. And I know it was hopeful with the other girl being safe, and yeah. It's like how Japan after the whole war has some rotten fruits or already lost souls. Yet it didn't mean nothing because some can be redeemed. And he helped too, so... But yet it had Killer's theme as a part of it, so actually this alone bumps it back to being good. In contrast to the previous movie, even if I'm remembering Wikipedia right, and Kurosawa said he didn't really care for it, liked this one a lot, it being really great and just the whole drama and execution of it. I don't know how to put it into words. The scene where the doctor for one moment broke down yet remained convicted, how the one father got redeemed and decided to raise the future of Japan, or the tragedy of the unseen abomination following the devastation of atomic force alien nation felt till now. I know I mixed a lot of metaphors, but to not get repetitive later, the whole Japan material history is felt in this movie, obviously, so it is relevant, and even more when it works as well. Anyways, I recommend it.
Let's go get him.
Another good one, and as it will become clearer, Kurosawa was influenced by Dostoevsky, and some part of it are obviously felt in this one, especially more than others. Like the whole father who at the very end finally redeems himself could be seen as a parallel to this one book ending with the father forgiving her daughter. Or more tragically, the Mary Sue girl dying is similar to the book's girl character, who in a way was its moral center, also dying in the end. Maybe the best praise for it is that even if I hate celebrities, it still made them feel sympathetic, and the Christmas scene alone was worth a watch. And being a piece of shit, I love seeing other excrement ferment and bloom like a star eventually. It's more interesting for inventing the device that got used for Houdini. Okay, that's too harsh. It was an okay movie, but at the end it was not that memorable for some reason. Maybe I should rewatch it. I only remember the medium scenes and not really rushing for it. Yep, straight adaptation of a book I actually read this time. And yeah, I had to cut a lot of the plot and use those title cards with a lot of text that didn't really help. Maybe the biggest condemnation of it is that it is more interesting as a historical artifact in the movie. Yet isn't this even more valuable than any standalone thing? Because only together we don't fall. And no, by that I mean my theory that the whole movie is responsible for both the idiot idealistic hero protagonist and this other horrible trope. Especially with how there's a whole montage of the hoe being hot and cold. For this sin alone, healthy. But jokes aside, I think the ending scene really put it back together, and it had that magic that is hard to put into words. So because of that alone, all good in the sonorous hood. You know, Kurosawa is often very didactic. Not like I'm complaining. I'm a moralist myself, even if being moral is another story actually. Yet, this is the story of this movie. I think it's loosely based on a Tolstoy book, but it just is a story of a bureaucrat actually trying, which is always good. Guess cancer does not make everyone break bad. Man, Walter White, what a loser. Shumuhud. No diffed by a fly. But viewer retention grabbing references aside, it was just a very beautiful movie. Even if I think the final part of the whole scolding of the other bureaucrats may have been cut for a more concise and punchy hole. But maybe I'm stupid for even suggesting that. Still, good is good. One of the two Kurosawa movies everybody actually knows, even if it is just for saying, did you know someone ripped it off? I don't know. Didn't see the cowboy remix, so I don't care. But still, it alone holds up. It's a fun movie, a whole adventure. Even if it's interesting to see basically a tower defense game in movie form. Man, the very first video game adaptation, before video games even exist. At the end it still has some social class commentary, which is interesting, at how Kurosawa is mostly with a pro-worker bent, while this movie may be a more sincere admission of his background. So yeah, good movie. Not great, because I think I didn't like it as much as everyone else, because I have to keep my contrarian cred. The Fire Force live action, the True to That series, traveled back in time. Cause yeah, this whole movie is about anxieties about nuclear war, and as that, it just works great. Especially about how fear is self-destructive. The whole factory burning down and all, I'm not mixing shit up. Still, the final scene of looking at the sun and thinking it is a burned up earth is straight up iconic. Iconic enough for Oak, but to just base a whole but with some really good and interesting parts, manga on. A good movie and a good adaptation of Shakespeare, probably. I would say more, but can I express anything better than the whole scene with the arrows? I think Godfather was paying homage to that, or better said Scarface. You know, it's funny how life is sometimes. I remember when I watched it, a few minutes in, dread started to take over, and the little demon that it is started to speak through my mouth. Oh, this is one of those one-room talk and scream a lot movies. Yet funny how wrong I was, cause in the end it was a movie that was beautiful. And not just because of this mashup, which was also worth watching, but it just conveys the tone too so well. I know it's based on a play, but gotta read it too, because yeah, I was impressed. And I had less pessimistic reading of the movie than most people. I didn't see the old guy as a scam or idealist, the tragedy being more in the people who are too stuck in their ways to see beyond their imagination, which in a way may be even more tragic, but damn, S tier, yup, I don't give a fuck. Guess if you have insomnia, you don't have to worry about burning in hell. But yeah, a good movie, but also a sad one. It's fun to watch the whole plan being built up, yet then the gut punch at the end. And first you believe it's just another part of the ruse, but nah, sometimes evil people fuck you over no matter how much prep time you have. It might be mostly a simple adventure movie, but fuck it, it's great. The whole bookend scene along with the gruel-eating kid is worth watching it. But beside that it has so many classic Mifune scenes. Oh, should probably have mentioned that guy more. But that's not an iceberg. Worst case I'll milk him somewhere else. And it just feels like a certain way that's hard to put into platitudes or other limitation of speech. Western remakes can't even compare in my opinion. No hard feelings to Clint. Hope you live long enough that this land doesn't age like badly. A sequel to the last one, and besides the Sugata films, the only other serialized feature in Kurosawa's catalog. Well, I think it was mostly so it can't bank off of the name of the last one, cause the main guy could as well been another Mary Stu, Gary Stu, helpful ninja. This one felt a bit more comedic and a bit less good, but overall it's still that good. Hell, the final scene is so iconic, might be just great because of that alone. This one is just really interesting structurally, because the first third is this morality play of, oh, the wrong son got abducted and will the rich guy pay for the chauffeur's son, blah blah blah. Yet then it just turns into a police procedural, and you kind of forget what the movie is about. You get really into the whole, oh, we have to catch the bad guy, and the whole detective parts of it. So then the conclusion comes out of nowhere, not like in a bad way, but you understand the kind of the trick that was pulled in you, of remembering what the movie really was about. So yeah, I think just because of all these interesting factors, it's a great movie. It's kind of an experiment in that way, so that's always appreciated. Another movie which has an obvious Dostoevsky homage, with the whole little girl falling in love with the doctor, being lifted from the previously mentioned humiliated and whatever the other word in the title was. And this one is good. Hell, I even would say great. Nah, it is great, because I deleted my Reddit shilling account, so now I know that saying Mifune beating up those guys as an old doctor is stupid. Should have just taken out one guy with his doctor skills, that would be more realistic. Is gay, cause yeah, who cares if it's stupid, but the reality is that people paid for Mifune, and then they would strongly word letter if the action quota wasn't filled. No affirmative. But otherwise, it's a nice movie about a spoiled doctor being taught the truth of Christian communism and abandoning his class characteristics, actually helping the people. In a way, a sequel to No Regrets for Our Youth. See how things connect. Interesting, huh? Now for a movie that a person I know was really impressed by, yet I probably couldn't see the whole beauty of it because of my evil eye at the time. Cause yeah, I thought it was kinda a cynical movie with the ending meaning just escape the fantasy world and be mentally stunted. They think that was not the whole truth. So controversially, I'm gonna do the whole anime trusting in others thing and rate it as great, even if I personally may not feel that, cause it still was very interesting. Funny and touching, also being visually very expressive. Maybe because he got to use color for the first time. Also, I think he tried to kill himself after it failed, so giving it a bad rating would be mean. A Russian co-production, so Esther, but nah, not to be too biased to the borscht I ate for all my life. It still is a great movie, even if, or maybe because it really does feel like a Russian movie. Not just because of its language and actors, but also the whole style and minimalism of it. It does really remind me of some Tarkovsky joint in a way. Maybe too slow for the modern audience, I justify make the entries so short for. Meh. Yeah, sorry. It just was one of the only Kurosawa movies where I felt the length in a bad way. It probably was the point, but I have to be dismissive in at least one entry, don't I? Because the premise was interesting, but it just felt as a whole. I don't know, hard to describe. Because many individual scenes were very memorable, and the whole final struggle of a desperate losing war was kinda epic in the original way of the world. So screw it. Let's bump it back up to okay. Heh, that means no man.
Foreshadowing.
I would have ran to the cinemas to see the Shakespearean epic. One time anybody used this phrase right, because it is a great movie. Just really liked it, even if the end is kinda tragic. Seeing the giant battles, the betrayals, the whole desperate situation, and the funny queer mouth. I had not theirs was the whole package. Better rewatch it someday. Because, oh yeah, I only saw each movie once, so if you want to dismiss any of these rankings, here's your excuse. Anyways, often titled Kurosawa's Dreams, they feel more pretentious, or kind of fitting cause that probably isn't the intention. And it is an interesting movie made up of many very visually exciting vignettes and experimentations of telling a story through the eyes and the ages of different characters, or manifestations of dreams. So of course, I gotta rate this as meh, no, yeah, sorry or psych this time. Cause you know why? The ending, it insisted. No, in the way that it was meant in that scene, but that it just gives such a saccharine bullshit message. It drags down the whole thing, more than hearing your aunt died on your birthday before writing the will in your favor. And get those wooden teeth implants now? Cause this joke is as worthless as the conclusion, like really. Wow, live with nature and then we'll be all happy and old. Yeah, they'll do to the people who died of shitting themselves to death. Just such a naive conclusion for a director of such caliber, especially in contact with someone like Miyazaki. Well, probably more a nature freak and basically a fascist. Yet even that guy gives a more honest, in a way, more humane answer to society's industrialization, saying that it's a dream and nothing more could salvage it. Still a shame, cause otherwise the movie would have been good. Alas, maybe his career's end will redeem him. Well, you already know. A good movie, or even great cause it pissed off the Americans.
Actually he did bad things too, so it was cool to drop a nuke. The Dragon Quest creator is dead and all dancing.
Now, okay, I'm going back to my bad habits, but still think I'm feeling charitable. So, it is a great movie in its own way, giving a very different side to Kurosawa again. Having children as protagonists in a slice of life setting with a grandma, and the conflict between the new Japan wanting to deal with American influence and the trauma of the old. And others may hate the apology scene, but I know, I find it funny. Especially with how some get angry over it, cause I said, I'm still kinda a piece of shit. It is what it is. And the running scene at the end is iconic, even if I'm too stupid to get it 100%. Only like 97. See how humble I am. Close, but we ain't done yet. And Kurosawa wasn't. Even an artistic masterpiece in all the ways. Doing the things many artists fail at. Making their final piece, even if unplanned supposedly, not just a magnum opus, but also the redemption of his whole filmography. Life, and in some ways even the whole world. Maybe many will find it strange how much I praise this one. But I'm being honest and sincere here. It just is a perfect movie. Till the end of his craft, in the TIERLIST way. Vision he got. Cause if you ever found some of his movies to be melodramatic or preachy, the social stuff, he agrees. By giving us the lovable teacher. The eternal child in the mostly positive way. Living through tragedies with humor. Giving wisdom to his students, who are always happy with him. Real MVPs, all of them. And also turning social ills into conga lines. In the end, it is a celebration of life with all the absurdities and straight up retardedness of it. Like this nigga really going into depression with a stupid cat. The whole meta aspect of it makes it truly special. The thing one sees when one is familiar with Kurosawa's filmography, at least in parts, that yeah, he admits his sentimentality was silly, but in the end it was sincere, and what made him him. Without it, all the other great parts may not exist, since it was just because of that alone. And the beer scene. So, S tier? Nah, Joe tier. Yeah, the highest honor I can give a work goes on that many levels. The real Kurosawa dream. To get back to the first line that you've probably already forgot. Did I know? Kurosawa in the end is a super mainstream director that is quoted by other mainstream directors and listed off in any letterbox level 1 Lance's repertoire. Yet that is the point, cause how often do we all bitch about there not being any movies, everything sucking, or the worst of not getting a fresh glass of grape soda. Thus the hope for this video. Check out some of these movies, these Spielberg level surface level fans, that show you a world that is more, a horizon beyond the one filled with the smoke of reaction channels and the vapor of icebergs melting in the sun. And then, you may have golden dreams too.